What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction video, and in this one we have 10 things that shock first-time travelers to Europe. I'm excited to jump into these 10 things and fascinated, I guess, to find out what they are. Before we do jump in, if you guys happen to enjoy this video, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a like, and let's dive in.
Travelers love Europe. The historical significance, the architecture, the food, the way of life. It's all very appealing and very romanticized.
Yeah.
But there are many quirky and even shocking cultural differences that might catch you off guard.
Let's find them out.
While you've been daydreaming about seeing castles or taking your gondola ride, you've possibly not prepared yourself for what you're about to experience. And as an American that's taken countless trips throughout Europe, here are 10 things that might shock you on your first visit. By the way, I know not everywhere in Europe is the same. Please don't send me angry comments. Number one, hands down, the toilet. First, in many public places like train stations, you might have to pay to use the toilet. Now, it's not going to be outrageously expensive or anything, but if you really gotta go, don't forget you may need 50 cents or €1 on you to get in. There might also be a restroom
I've heard about this.
Don't let that surprise you. Something very common you almost never see in the USA is two flush options.
Yes.
One is a little bit of water, and the other one is much, much more. Button number 1 and number 2, if you will. Speaking of number 2, something I was not prepared for the first time was the German poo shelf. Yeah, their toilets are a little bit different in Germany, and while this design is meant to eliminate splashing, just don't be surprised when you come face to face with your shit. Next, street names.
Yes. The restrooms, paying for restrooms. I understand why, and I'm sure Europe does have a lot cleaner restrooms because that paying does allow them to pay the people to come in and clean the restrooms. I don't agree with having to pay to use the restroom, but as long if I do have to pay, I know it better be clean. For sure, it better be clean. And if it is clean, then I guess it's probably worth it. I prefer free restrooms. That's just me. And then I don't like the shelf, the poop shelf. Yeah, I would get rid of that. Yeah, that's poop shelf. Not a fan. Not for me. But the 2 buttons, I think, is a lot better in being able to conserve more water. I think that's a lot smarter to have the 2 buttons.
Let's say you're on foot looking for your accommodations for the first time. Your host sent you check-in instructions and said, "We're on Kerkstraat." You get to what you think is Kerkstraat, but you're not positive, so you go to check the street sign. You know, the sign on the street that tells you the name of the street. Surprise! There isn't one. There actually is one, usually, and it's not far, but it's also not super obvious. In many places throughout Europe, there are parts of town where street names are actually on the sides of buildings. Not 100% of the time, but if you can't find a street name, look around at the buildings first. I'll be honest, this comes up more than you'd expect, even if you're using a GPS. Speaking of which, that is a perfect segue into today's video sponsor, Olafly eSIMs.
I'm going to skip the sponsor, y'all. Always skip sponsor. But that's actually crazy. The fact that it could be, like, the street name could be on the side of a building. It's just something that I guess us in America, we're not ever used to that. So that's a very interesting concept.
Located. Well, congratulations. You found your accommodations. And now to get to your apartment. Your host said it's on the first floor, number 117. You enter through the door on the ground level. You search everywhere for number 117 and nothing. What the heck? Well, in most of Europe and the UK, the ground floor and the first floor are not the same thing.
Oh, really?
The first floor is the first level above the ground floor. And by the way, don't be surprised if your building doesn't have an elevator. Elevators aren't uncommon by any means, but there are plenty of buildings with 4+ floors and no elevator. So here is one of the number 1 reasons we don't check bags when we come to Europe and why we recommend carrying on instead. This is the way to our Airbnb.
A few minutes later.
As you can see,
oh my god. Oh my god.
Go straight up. That's not usually a good sign. You know what else you should mentally prepare yourself?
So I guess in these places you can't really have I I guess those who are handicapped well, I guess they can't be on anything. They have to be on the ground floor. I guess if you're I feel like if you're these places and you do take handicapped people, then you gotta leave the ground floor for them because them stairs was crazy. Why no elevator? I understand. It's probably more healthy that way. But no elevators and going up 4 or 5 floors is crazy. Maybe 1 or 2 floors. Alright, they can take the stairs. It's not. But 4 or 5 floors having to take the stairs. Yeah, we gonna need an elevator. An elevator is a necessity at that point. That's very interesting. Ground floor and first floor, yeah, that's definitely different. But I can understand where they're coming from. Just different than what I'm used to.
For not having air conditioning at every moment of every day. This depends on where you're going, of course, and it can be a bit regional, but don't be surprised at all if your hotel or apartment or bed and breakfast doesn't have air conditioning. Now, if you're in Southern Europe where it gets blazing hot, this may not be as much of a problem, but in places like, let's say, Belgium, they may only need AC like a few weeks a year. And then is it even worth it to own an air conditioning unit? It's much more common to just leave your windows open at night. And their windows tend to be a little bit different to where you can open them or crack them and just kind of leave them cracked at night. I actually love those windows. Personally, I want them for my house.
That's really cool.
And this is another one of those kinds of things. If you know you need AC, just be conscious of that in the booking process. You can filter your Airbnb searches by whether or not they have AC. Something that surprises me is the number of people who watch this channel.
I feel that.
Subscribe.
I feel that.
If you're getting value out of this video or any of our videos, please hit that shiny subscribe button for more content like this. Know what else is shocking?
I would say that AC is definitely a necessity, but that's just my American mindset because I grew up my whole life with air conditioning. But if you only need a couple weeks out of the year, I guess truly, you really don't need an air conditioner unit. Me, I still would, but you truly don't need one. And then the windows open. Yeah, I guess here you just be afraid of like bugs coming into your crib, so you wouldn't leave it. But maybe they don't have that issue, so that wouldn't bother. It doesn't bother them to leave their window open.
Just how much better public transportation is throughout Europe. Seriously, in the U.S., everything is car. We drive everywhere.
Yes.
But throughout Europe, public transportation is often the way to go, especially in the tourist hotspots. In major cities like Paris, Vienna, Berlin, Amsterdam, the list goes on and on. You can grab a metro or a tram that'll get you almost anywhere you need to go. And they're usually quite punctual and extensive, which makes it easy to get around without a car. In cities like that, a car can actually be a hassle. And as a whole, Europe's rail network is incredible. High-speed trains can zip you across countries in no time. And personally, it's my favorite way to travel. First of all, because it's beautiful. The views out the window can be stunning. And it's easy.
She is
You don't have to deal with all the same nonsense you do when you fly, like getting there 2 hours early or all the security drama. You just show up, find your platform, and get on the train. Here's a tip for you. Don't forget to validate your tickets. In many places, you'll need to validate your ticket before boarding, and failing to do so can result in some serious fines. It looks a little bit different everywhere. Some places have apps that make this process easier. So just be sure to look into those before your trip. Another thing to look into before your trip.
Yeah, transport, like you said, in America, car. This land was made for cars. And so I feel like if you are in Europe, it sounds to me from the videos that I've seen like public transport would be the better option. It's a fast option, it's a cheap option, and just easy to be able to get around. So public transport, Europe sounds like the way to go. In America, not as good, and it was built for cars, so cars are the way to go. That's really dope.
And I've seen this really upset some people, is what days things might be closed. In many countries, Sunday is truly treated as a day of rest. Most retail stores, supermarkets, and even some restaurants and cafes will be closed. It's not uncommon for smaller shops and boutiques to take the day off and give their employees a break. This can be shocking to a lot of travelers, especially coming from the USA when we can get groceries any day of the week, but it just is what it is. Now, personally, I love the idea of culturally honoring a true Sabbath and day of rest, if you will, but gosh, If you're a traveler in a small town and you just want to find a place to eat or you need some groceries, it can be surprising and honestly very frustrating.
Yeah.
I remember once Allie and I went to a Spar in Vienna on Sunday. It was
Oof.
open, but there were certain items that could not be sold on Sundays. I think she just
Really?
needed like shampoo or something, and that blew our minds. We could buy cheese, but we couldn't buy soap. Mondays can also be tricky. Many museums, galleries, historical sites choose Monday as their closing day, especially if they were open over the weekend. So
Okay.
big tip with this is just to plan around these days. Make sure if you're
Yeah.
really excited about a certain place and there's attractions or museums that you want to
research.
see there, double check the days those things are open and align your itinerary with ensuring you can enjoy them. Another quirky difference that can be bothersome to
You just got to be able to do your research. Know what days they're gonna be open. Know what hours they're gonna be open. I do enjoy the fact that they take Sundays and treat it like truly as a Sabbath, and everything's closed. And you just take that day, right? And you enjoy that time with your family. Enjoy that time with your friends. Relax, rest, and just chill. Let your battery recharge for the next week ahead. I think that's an incredible thing. And I heard that they also in Europe, like places also close like earlier than typically in the US, where a lot of stuff is like open 24 hours or open very, very late.
some travelers is paying for water at restaurants. In the US, when you ask for water, typically you get it for free, usually
Yeah.
with a giant glass of ice.
Yes.
In many parts of Europe, it's not uncommon to be charged for water. Now, when you order, instead of just asking for water, ask for tap water, right? And perhaps even
Yeah.
learn the way to say that in the local language. But there's still a chance the restaurant says, we don't serve tap water. And then you
Oh.
have to pay for a bottle. By the
Oh.
way, don't expect ice to be an automatic thing either. Restaurants often serve bottled water by default, and you might have to clarify whether you want still or sparkling. And yes, you'll be charged for it. This is just one of those cultural differences you need to be aware of. It's not a huge expense, but it's something
Yeah.
you might not expect. Don't expect free refills. Don't expect massive sized glasses. None of that. Something that might shock you in your
I'm not mad about the water. I would be upset, however, at like if I was at a restaurant and I wasn't getting like free refills. Then I'd just be like, can you just like hold off on my drink until my food gets here? I don't want anything to drink until my food gets here. Unless the refills were pretty cheap. But yeah, that's just an interesting difference. Again, probably more healthy this way. Again, this is probably the reason that Americans are obese. But yes, I would 100% want free refills.
Europe is the prevalence of smoking and cigarettes everywhere. In many European countries, smoking is more socially accepted and prevalent than it is in the US. My wife jokes she has a certain smell that reminds her of Italy. Cigarette smoke and cologne. There's smoking all over the place. Outdoor cafes, bars, they've got smoker lounges in the airport. You'll see cigarette vending machines. And this
Oh,
honestly won't
the vending
impact your trip
machines is
very much.
crazy.
It's not like it's unavoidable. But it can be a bit of a surprise if you're coming from a place where smoking is heavily restricted. I'm actually kind of proud of the USA on this one. Despite being the
Yeah.
most obese of all the wealthy Western world, at least we largely stopped smoking cigarettes. Very interesting surprise
Agreed.
for first-timers to Europe
Agreed.
can be unexpected encounters with nudity. First day in Germany, I'm walking through a public park, and I see a dude, probably 60, completely naked.
In a public
100%.
park?
And I was thinking, is somebody going to arrest this guy? Turns out, not a big deal. Now, you're not going to see naked people everywhere. But at
Yeah.
the beach, don't be surprised if you
Okay.
see someone topless. And in just about any spa or sauna, don't be surprised if you see
Yeah.
absolutely everything. In fact, in any European spa Allie and I have visited, we felt like the odd ones out because we had our suits on. This one really varies by culture, but I think we in the USA largely associate nudity and the human body, unfortunately, with
Facts.
sex and sexuality. And in some
Yeah.
places, that's just not how it is. People are a little more relaxed around these types of things. According to my research, this is sort of going out of fashion in some places, especially the topless sunbathing. So for the young man watching this, getting all excited, cool your jets, dude. If you do encounter public nudity, in my experience, much higher likelihood you see more grandmas and grandpas than you will people your age. Just saying. If you got
I
a trip to
feel
Europe
that.
coming up and you want to know other things about cultural etiquette and cultural faux pas to avoid, check out this video here where I break down the 10 biggest tourist mistakes Americans make in Europe. Thanks so much for watching. Happy travels.
I definitely feel that. Yeah, the nudity, that's just an American thing where we do associate the naked human body with sex. And that is just, I guess, how it is here. That is the culture I was raised in, so that's kind of how I think about it as well. In saunas and stuff, yeah, it's just uncomfortable to see a lot of dudes naked. Again, American mindset at work. Yeah, I'm just not used to that. I've never even been to a sauna, if I'm being honest, though, so I probably wouldn't use one anyway. But to see just, yeah, a naked man in a public park is, it would absolutely shock me. It would be absolutely shocking. Talk to me. Are there more things in Europe that you think would shock me as an American if I were to travel over to Europe? If so, please drop them in the comment section. Do you agree or disagree with any of the 10 things that he had mentioned, or have any interesting stories you want to tell me about? Love to hear about them. But that's all we have. If you enjoyed, please don't forget to subscribe. Give the video a thumbs up. Check out that next video. See you guys next time.